So this tool here is called Create Effects, and it's something that we developed during COD 4, I believe. And when I first saw this, it was really cool, but it's a cool way to see the effect with fully compiled lighting and sound effects playing with the preview. And it was also really cool because you can do this with the gamepad on the Xbox. Now, the export process of making this go from this sort of in-game tool to actually become part of your level was to go and issue this command, and it would write script to the console. And my involvement with this was I had been working on some other things with being able to write things from the game through the launcher. I've already talked about this a little bit, but I just wanted to show this really quick. This is Create Effects, and it's actually looks like it's from Black Ops, but we started this with Call of Duty 4. So yeah, so I'm just going to go ahead and let some videos play in the background while I talk about some of my other involvements. So that was Create Effects, and I also worked on the tool that artists use to make the post effects. This is the full screen color adjustments that you could apply. I talked about in Call of Duty 2 video where I had gone through and desaturated all these textures to make it a nighttime look. With Call of Duty 4, we could do that in post. So like have an effect where the all these could be desaturated because it's a nighttime lighting and you're not picking up as much color. And then you could also have that transition through different sets from going outside to inside. I helped a little bit with that in the exporting of those into files from the game. You actually needed to see the game render of things to get a good feel for that. So that would be a WinForms tool where you could slide sliders, and it would tell the game on the Xbox through the COM libraries that we had to make the visual update. So also during Modern Warfare 3 or 2 or something like that, I started a project called Search Tool, and this was initially as a Perl script and it was to help do like IDE things. So we could like click a function name and hit the key was like F8 or F7 or something like that, and it would show search results for that function. And throughout the years this would really develop, and I think during Modern Warfare 2 it became a WinForms app where featuring full syntax highlighting in the results, and it would also show you like how those assets were connected. And it felt like that was a really good aid for newcomers in the Call of Duty development environment. They would come in and they would get this way to poke and pick and just look at actual functioning code. One of the things that I was recognizing a lot internally was we worked on tribal knowledge, and that was okay because we were a small studio. We developed, I think, IW4, which is 3. Call of Duty 4 was, I think, 60 to 70 people. It's kind of small. And it was a team that was growing slowly, and it was just becoming like this burden. Let's fast forward that and play something else. Oh, how convenient. Hamburg. This is the back half of Hamburg. It's done by Raven. But anyway, so yeah, I was being burdened with this process of newcomers, and everybody knows that Modern Warfare 3, we had a a big company blowout and a lot of devs left and went to Respawn, I was still attached to Infinity Ward and wanted to stay put. When we left for, I'm trying not to do too much commentary here, but when we left for Infinity Ward from 2015, the thing was we were gonna kill the baby, which was Medal of Honor, and we were just gonna like be a competitor to our own product, and it was a fun joke inside. But I felt like, you know, with Infinity Ward, I wanted to stay and give them something to compete with, and transitioning my role to more of a support role for everybody who's coming in was something that I felt good about. Like, I wanted to really make sure that people were finding their way, and that's where the search tool came in. It felt like it was way better to look at running code for examples and find things in context. Me personally, that's the way I would prefer to find out how something works. I want to see the code, and I want to be able to locate things that I'm curious about. So with the search tool, it became kind of bigger than just search. It was like what we talk about nowadays is language service provider, or what LSPs, which is what Visual Studio Code does. It has like an offline process that will digest all the things and provide you with functionality to dive into that function, or look up what the parameters are as you're typing, and do autocomplete and all those things. I was doing this before LSP was a thing. I had a service, and I'm trying not to talk too much about internals, but the Modern Warfare 3 came with another developer bringing in their own solution, which had it was based on a full IDE, and so I would not drop ship from the search tool efforts because I had a lot of cool things in search tool, things that were at your access, like animation details for an animation that you could just press F6 hotkey and be filled with a page filled with information about that animation, like what were the tags that it was moving, and things that you could use for your scripts. And so it was a lot of quality of life things that I was building for these developers. So this is Modern Warfare 3, and it was the second to last game that I was involved with gameplay stuff. And you can see here, this is an example of how I felt good about leaving the geometry space. We had a lot of talented artist types, and this guy just built all of London in like a couple of weeks, and was like, hey, well, it felt like maybe he was working on it for a long time, but it just appeared, and it was amazing. And so we had a lot of really good up-and-coming artists. Infinity Ward didn't hire slouches, so I felt really good about staying behind and kind of taking up this role of a gameplay scripter and slash supporter. And so the tool's efforts were really taking hold in these two games, Modern Warfare 3 and Call of Duty Ghosts. So, what else do? I guess I could show you just some stuff I found. So this is the CreateEffects script, and my thing was the file print. So I created this function called file print, and you could start a file, and then you could print all these things, and you could see how we are describing what the file names are, and we're exporting them and all that good stuff. But I did that for CreateEffects, and then we had one called Art Common that would do the same thing to export art settings for the scripts and things. I would spend a lot of time in the destructible scripts. So this is like with a folder we call common scripts. So a lot of things were shared for the other levels, and oftentimes you would get these, I think we had these all in one file, but the artist types weren't scripters, so they would set up the model and we would plug all these things in. So that's just, I did a lot of destructible things, and then I wrote external script that would be become a checkbox on our build process, where you could have all these assets kind of get automatically included into your level that you worked on. Prior to this, it was a wiki page that would describe each asset and each sets of assets that you would want to include if you chose to, let's say, put a vehicle 80s hatchback into your mission. You would have to go to the wiki page and figure it out, and I didn't like that at all. I'm actually kind of against the complex wiki pages on setup, because they're hard to, like, they're out of sight, out of mind, and they don't tend to get updated. So I was leading with script tools that would generate the stuff for you. So going to Ghost playback. So yeah, in Ghosts, I only did the helicopter mission, which I've already shown, and I'm just showing these because I really feel like some of the efforts were intangible, but when I look at this, there's a lot of script happening here. This isn't like game CPP code. This is the script environment that I helped set up, and all these things that are happening here are scripted. So yeah, after Ghost, we started Infinite Warfare, and I was doing some early prototypes for like spaceships, and I thought it would be really cool to see what it was like to do like three-dimensional asteroids physics. Like, there's a lot of like you think of air combat in an atmosphere where you have the wings that provide flight. In space, it's more of like that's not existent. We still like have Star Wars with winged ships that fly around in space, but the wings really aren't necessary. Was my thinking was all we really need is thrusters that can go in the directions to make it so that we could use the stick to move, do strafing and all that stuff. But I wanted to play with what it looked like to have a ship that was flying by but still turning while it had that vector, and it was pretty cool to see like all the ships in space shooting each other. But that was the extent of my development in Infinite Warfare. At a point, I was getting so heavy into the tool stuff, I was starting to feel the burden of doing tools versus gameplay, and then not servicing the tool stuff that I was doing well enough. So my thought was, let's just go all in on the tools. And really cool that the tools team accepted me. I never went to school. I didn't have a lot of programming background, but I had been already involved in all these tools for several years. They could look at the diffs of the changes that I made and see that, maybe rough around the edges, but they saw something in there, and they gave me the official tests for programmers that you wanted to measure, like native programming skills, which I had none. I had to Google a bunch of stuff to figure out how to write C++ code, and I misread the challenge. But the challenge was like a 3D space, and you're supposed to fill the buckets of water with optimally, and I did it on a 2D plane, and I made a map generator it was kind of like a Minesweeper thing where you click and it would figure out where the water could go in the space, and I felt like it failed miserably after I submitted and reread the description. But these guys took me on, and I'll be forever grateful for that, because I got 8 years of tooling experience. And while my stack was mostly C Sharp and WPF, we had a lot of the tools in that space. Um, I did get to continue to help with the uh, scripting environment. I worked on that a lot throughout the years. I worked on animation tools, uh, stuff to do with sequencing and the fine-grained details. If I go over to like Modern Warfare 2, I noticed a lot of this stuff in Modern Warfare 2, where there's like so much nuance to like the characters and the physical assets that connect to them. Those were all, stuff that required a little bit of extra attention in the asset manager. And um, so I was in there doing that. And when I look at these games, I I can't point to stuff in here anymore that is like I own that, I did that, but it's in kind of an intangible effect that I would have. Um, but yeah, working on Tools Engineer was super surprising, like how much stuff that they have to work on. It did not go as I had planned. I was planning to be a scripters support tools engineer, which was very specific, and it's the tendency of these big games is to like divide your role and try to like specialize and focus on something. But my position as a tools engineer had me doing all kinds of stuff. Like I was doing DevOps things. I helped fix up a tool for multiplayer match analytics. I did stuff for outsourcing. We didn't just give the whole game to outsourcing. We just pull. We had like an isolated set of things that they could do, and then I helped with exposing some of the reports about those outsourced assets. You didn't want to have like the little tiny soda can that had a giant texture map on it. You want to be able to call those things out with statistics and all that stuff. Uh, but and I apologize for being very vague on this. I am kind of not wanting to talk about internal technology a lot, but I got to be involved with a lot of things, and when I look at these games, I I really have the sense that Call of Duty was better for it. And like I'm scrubbing around anywhere in this game, and you can see the scripts and the details and all the things that the artists and content creators were able to do with the tools that they were given. It also kind of reaffirms my position on things to go ahead and take a step back from being the designer for a second, because you can't just make a game like this on your own. Like I couldn't get in there and just kind of put the walls up and say I'm this treasure trove of information about all of the past things of Call of Duty, and not be like in a place where I'm supporting these guys who are learning the stuff and trying to get past the tribal knowledge hurdle that they would have to go through. So uh, so yeah, I know this is extra long, but it's trying to cover 8 years of tools engineering, and it's where I'm at now. If you want to experience some of my tooling, I run a project called Blitz Search, and it's all over my social profiles, and I'm planning to get back to that to really put the I've been versioning it as 0.06 something and 0.07, and I feel like I'm at the point where I can call it 1.0 and do a big grand talk about that project. It's something that I wanted to do because now that I'm free and out in the world, I'm going to have to learn some new technology probably, and this is something that I wanted to have in my toolbox because it's really cool to be able to search for words on a line and all that good stuff. So yeah, if you've made it this far, congrats. Thanks for watching. This is the end of the portfolio series. I will be eventually trying to get back to a series that I call Story Time, where I'm talking a little bit more personal on stuff. Right now I'm thinking about talking about Medal of Honor and how that went as a kid who's 20 years old, breaking in the games industry, 2,000 miles from hometown and all that fun stuff. So thanks for watching. I'm Nathan Silvers.